Now it's my task to nominate the proceedings for the Speaker of the House. The chair recognizes the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to nominate for Speaker an individual that is perhaps the most qualified, well-qualified individual ever to be nominated for this role. And it is tempting to justify this nomination on the basis of the successes of the past. But I believe this nomination is required to seize the challenges of today. This delegate is the right choice, not for the hundreds of thousands of Marylanders that have access to health care due to his leadership. He's the right choice because there are still too many men, women, and children that fall through the cracks of our social safety net. He belongs on that rostrum not because he has presided over historic investments in education. He belongs there because we still have schools over capacity and a generation of students taking on more debt than ever. He should be our Speaker not as a reward for responsible financial stewardship through the Great Recession. He should be our Speaker because we still must chart a path towards sustained prosperity. And he is our leader, not because of the dozens and dozens of current and former members that he has mentored and supported. He's our leader because there is no one better to develop and bring the most out of this new generation of talent in this chamber. Madam Speaker, without nostalgia for the successes of the past, but instead for leadership to seize the opportunity of today, it's my honor to nominate the Honorable Michael Aaron Busch.
Is there a second?
Madam Speaker.
Chair recognizes the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is with great pleasure that I second the nomination of one of the greatest coaches the state of Maryland has ever known. Not only is he a good coach on the field, but off the field as well. Things that you need to have a qualified coach: leadership, dependability, honesty, being trustworthy, and at the end of the day, the ability to get the job done. So it's my pleasure to nominate our coach to second the nomination of our coach, the Honorable Michael Aaron Busch.
Are there any other nominations? The chair recognizes the delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the nominations for Speaker of the House be closed.
Is there a second?
Madam Speaker Pro Tem, I'd like to second.
The delegate recognizes, the chair recognizes the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I'd like to second the nominations and close. I'd like to second to close the nominations for our Speaker, our friend, our mentor, our coach, Michael Aaron Busch.
The nominations are closed. We are ready for the question. All those in favor of the Honorable Michael Aaron Busch for the office of Speaker of the House signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The Honorable Michael Aaron Busch of Anne Arundel County has been elected Speaker of the House of Delegates. I will say that first to Speaker of the House. Raise your right hand. Okay. I state your name.
I, Michael Busch,
Do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of Speaker
execute the office of Speaker
according to the Constitution and laws of this state,
according to the Constitution and laws of the state,
that I will not directly or indirectly
and I will not directly or indirectly
receive the profits
receive the profits
or any part of the profits
or any part of the profits
of any other office
of any other office
during the term of my acting
during the term of my acting
as Speaker of the House of Delegates.
as Speaker of the House of Delegates.
Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, and I do appreciate your confidence once again putting me back together here in Annapolis and doing the people's work. I do want to acknowledge first and foremost two new members. Many people have not met yet. Delegate Susie Proctor, please stand up. As many of you know, she's taken the seat of our dear colleague, one unfortunately passed away this year, Jim Proctor, Vice Chairman of Appropriations. Susie, welcome to the Maryland House of Delegates. Continue the legacy of the Proctor family. Thank you very much. We also have Carlos Sanchez. Carlos will be replacing Will Campbell, who went into the private sector. And Carlo is, in my meeting with him, as always, has a smile on his face and ready to go to work. So welcome to the Maryland House of Delegates. I want to also acknowledge Delegate Nick Kipke and Kathy Salega, the minority leader and the minority whip, for their selection once again as the leaders of the minority party in this chamber. Been fortunate we've developed a good working relationship. I know we're not always going to vote alike, but we have the ability to sit down and discuss the issues and the importance of everyone having a voice in the chamber. So I want to thank the minority leader and the minority whip for the great job they do as well. I know the governor's probably over in the Senate. He went there first, but I do want to acknowledge the governor. The governor can come out. Great. The governor. Bring him up here in a second, but I want to acknowledge the fact that the courageous way that Governor Hogan has handled his battle with the terrible disease of cancer. The fact that a person in his position, the profile that he has been inspirational to many Marylanders, particularly the close to 20,000 Marylanders that suffer with this disease. So I want to congratulate you, Governor, first and foremost, for your service, but most importantly, for the way you handled both the crimes and tragedies of life. So I know you're coming up here in a second, but I want to speak a little bit, but I want to acknowledge you first and foremost. I want to also acknowledge the great work of the General Assembly, the Maryland House of Delegates. you know, the ones that are here, the ones that came before us, the fact that we have great physicians in cancer research in the state of Maryland is because this body made a determination that they were going to set aside money from the tobacco restitution fund to bring some of the great cancer researchers here to the state. Kevin Cullen in the University of Maryland, I know the governor is very familiar with. His team has been able to make gigantic strides in fighting this disease and working with people like Governor Hogan and other Marylanders that take pride knowing that exists here. I want to let the legislation know you make a difference. You know, the things we discussed in this chamber and resonate still around the walls here, things of the Chesapeake Bay restoration, of renewable energy, of health care for children, developmentally disabled, those who suffer from autism, the AAA bond rating that we all pride ourselves in, the standards for education set us #1 in the country. All those initiatives and others are really legislative initiatives. That the difference is made here because you represent 6 million Marylanders, just a little under 6 million Marylanders, and you bring your voice here. We have passionate debates over these issues, and that's where these debates should take place. This is the 230th anniversary of the Annapolis Conference, and a lot of people don't know exactly what the Annapolis Conference was. But it's when Madison and Hamilton came here to lay the groundwork in 1786 for the Constitutional Convention that would take place the next year in Philadelphia. And they would lay that groundwork for the democracy that we've experienced today in the United States of America. So Maryland played a key role in developing that. And in the confirmation of the Constitution, you needed 9 states. And Maryland became the 7th state in 1788 to agree to the Constitution as it was written. And it was very important because Virginia was about to vote against adopting the Constitution as well as New York. But when George Washington came to Maryland, he got the delegates together and they voted 63-11 to vote for our national Constitution. It was the momentum that carried Virginia to approval, to the hard work of James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, who brought the great work to New York. So as we start this legislative session, there will be numerous spirited debates, and we want a full and fair debate on every issue that comes before us. But let's do it in the spirit that our Constitution and our Maryland government is based on. We stand on the shoulders of many people that have come before us. The expectations for them and for the citizens of the state of Maryland, that we all have a voice to represent their needs, their wishes, and what's in their best interest, whether it prevail or not. But it's important for us to be heard here in this great chamber as part of the democratic process. I look forward to working with Governor Hogan, President Miller, and the Senate to make sure that we are partners in the government in the state of Maryland. So with that, I want to welcome all of you back. I want to welcome your families and everyone that have taken the time to be here. I want to welcome the county executives and the leaders we have in Washington, D.C. You've done a great job at the local level, and a lot of tough economic times. You've done a great job in Washington, D.C. representing the needs of the state of Maryland. We're going to have Senator McConkey and Senator Carter speaking in, but I do want to bring up Governor Hogan, the Chief Executive of the state of Maryland, to address Maryland House Delegates. Governor Hogan, if you would please.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, congratulations on your overwhelming election. I watched it from the corner back there. Very happy with your success in being reelected as Speaker. I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to really just welcome everybody back to Annapolis. And we want to say thank you for all of the hard work we've done together. I'm looking forward to the next 90 days. I think we've made a lot of progress together over the past year, and we intend to work as closely as we can with you and your colleagues in the Senate, people on both sides of the aisle. As I've said a number of times, I don't care what side of the aisle the ideas come from. We want to come together with common sense solutions to solve some of the problems that face our state. We're very open-minded, willing to listen to the ideas that you have, that you bring to the debate. And we got a little bit of stuff done while you were gone for the past 9 months. We hope to make even more progress over the next 90 days now that you're back in town to help us get things done. So thank you all for everything you've done over the past year working with us. Welcome back, and let's have a great session and get some things done for the people of Maryland in a bipartisan way. Thank you all very much. Welcome back.
What do you think are going to be the big issues this year?
Well, the first thing up are going to be right out of the chute. You know, today we voted to sustain 94 of the governor's vetoes. Next week there's 6 that are a little bit more contentious, and they'll be up for review. So probably about Wednesday of next week, you'll see some debate on the floor as to whether or not the veto should be sustained. Now, it's entirely possible that the governor and the House Speaker, the President of the Senate may come to some agreement on some of these bills, and they will not be challenged. But right now, we've got 6 up on the agenda next week.
But the big stuff, you know, taxes, police use of force, stuff like that. I mean, what do you think is going to be the biggest one in the session?
Well, the budget's always something that we discuss a lot, and it's very important to us. Frankly, I feel that because we had such a constrained budget last year, that's why we have a $400 million surplus this year. That's why a $5 billion deficit over 5 years is now 90% eradicated. The steps we took last year were important. I think the fact that we have a $400 million surplus is indicative of a good indicator that we need to talk about tax reform, because, hey, we're bringing in more money than we spent. That means that people are sending in more money than they need to, at least where I come from.
Does that mean we should do nothing this year? Would that be good? Nothing?
No, it's never good, you know. We got to do something about it. We got to fix that because it's their money.
Baltimore City is going to be a big focus this year. A lot of money going to Baltimore City. Is that a concern for some of the other jurisdictions?
Well, let me tell you this. Baltimore City gets $1.12 out of every state dollar they pay in taxes, $1.12. They've been getting a great return on their investment for a long time. I want to know how they've been spending that money. Yeah, sure, there's some things we need to do to help Baltimore City, but I want to make damn sure that they're going to be good stewards of all of our money. Just throwing money at a problem and seeing how much of it sticks isn't the answer to any problem. I want to make sure that those dollars are well spent.
Thank you very much, Delegate.
You're welcome.
Well, I think some of the big issues that we're going to see again is the budget. I mean, that's something that we have to deal with, and we need to make sure that we're going to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. But you know, I'd like to see things for Anne Arundel County. I'd like to see more money put in to programs, hotspot programs, or Safe Street programs, actually. We got some money last year to target violent offenders, and we've spread that all over the county, Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park, Pioneer City. So I think, you know, making sure that we're not only good stewards of the money, but we bring money home to take care of things like public safety, heroin addiction, the things that we're talking about. County executives convened a panel to look at things like heroin addiction, so as the governor. So hopefully we'll do some things in this session that the entire county will benefit from.
Are there any? Are you going to be pushing for any bond bills? Do you have any projects in your district that are important?
We're going to look at some bond bills. Chesapeake Arts Center, you know, it's our regional arts center up in North County. It's important to the residents of North County. So we're going to look at some money to improve the Chesapeake Arts Center. We did some things with the maker space. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at ways to improve the arts up there. Again, the Arts Center is part of the complex that supports the Performing Visual Arts Magnet School at Brooklyn Park Middle School, which again, as a magnet school for the entire northern part of the county.
I've been reading up on this, and supposedly the second year for a governor is usually the most productive. What are your thoughts on going into the second year with divided government, with a Republican governor? Governor Hogan, obviously very popular, but I just have a feeling that it's going to be a little harder than everybody thinks this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited because, the governor talks about bipartisanship. I'm thinking that, there's little bumps in the road, but I think all in all, we're going to work together. This is my second session too, so I'm looking forward to working with the governor and his staff on issues not only for the state, but particularly for Anne Arundel County and for the northern part of the county.
Feeling a little bit more comfortable your second time?
Yeah, today was a little easier than last year, but it's getting better. As the Beatles say, it's getting better all the time.
Well, good luck and have a good session.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking to us. What committee do you serve on?
I serve on appropriations. I'm the Republican leader on appropriations.
So that's an important one. So you're going to be handling all the spending.
Yeah, no, and it's really important now that we have a governor who's shares the philosophy of many of our members, and so we're very excited. Yeah.
What are some of your what are your priorities for this year? What do you want to see?
I would just like to see. I'd like to see us get back into a more balanced spending pattern where our spending doesn't exceed what we're taking in revenues. For many years, we had to constantly raise taxes to kind of catch up. We spent our last dollar every year, and I think the governor has been very, very good at slowing down spending so that the growth will catch up with the spending so that we can then provide some tax relief, provide some tax cuts to retirees, seniors, and low-income people.
When we look at Anne Arundel County specifically, is there anything that stands out for you that we need to look for?
We're very blessed in Anne Arundel. I have a couple bills in this year that specifically affect Anne Arundel. The main problem I think in our district is problems with traffic, problems with the roads, and one of my bills would try to address that with the Bay Bridge. Would say that we would convert the Bay Bridge to all electronic tolling, so there's no more toll booths to help speed traffic across. We've done that on the ICC, we've done that on the express lanes on 95, and so it's technically possible. We just need to change it over. So that's, I think on a summer afternoon, on a summer Friday, when traffic's backed up from one side of my district to the other, sometimes all the way from the Bay Bridge to Crofton, that would be a big help. But generally, we're blessed in Anne Arundel. It's just trying to keep us progressing, trying to keep the state from choking off growth.
That's a great example of, tolls are a statewide issue, but when you look at the Bay Bridge and Memorial Day and weekends like that, it's a very important local issue.
It's and we have the hospital there. The hospital's right there on 50, and so many of our communities, 50 is their main street, and when it packs up, it really impacts Anne Arundel County. When you can't move in Anne Arundel County on a Friday afternoon in the summertime because of the Bay Bridge, it's not just a toll issue, it's not just a traffic issue, it really impacts our community when you have that problem.
So this is your second session, just like Delegate Carey. Does it feel a little more comfortable this time?
100 times more comfortable, but still nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I bet. Tell us about, a lot of freshman delegates don't introduce bills. Are you introducing any bills this year, or what's your philosophy on that?
So last year I said that as my first year, I'm just going to sit back and kind of watch and learn and be a sponge, soak everything in. And then I was crazy and I decided to introduce 6 bills. So that's how it happens. Constituents come to you and they're like, this is a really great idea. We need this taken care of. This is an issue in your district. And so I'm like, well, might as well just do it now. If they don't pass, I'll do it again next year. So 3 of them actually ended up passing last year. This year I said, this year I'm really not going to introduce that many bills. And I think I have about 7 so far. So I'm putting the full stop here.
Tell us about one bill that you think you're most proud of.
Last year it was probably the human trafficking bill. This year I actually have one of them I'm getting co-sponsors for right now. And it's called the Stolen Valor Bill, and it's regarding people who impersonate military people for tangible gains. So right now, somebody can do it whether they're trying to get a discount on a house or an upgrade at a hotel, and it's completely fine. They don't get penalized for it at all. And obviously, it's completely dishonorable to our military. So it's modeled after a couple other states that have passed it recently, and so this would make it a misdemeanor.
How hard is it as one of, is it 141 delegates? How hard is it to get a bill passed? Just tell us a little about
It's
that.
extremely difficult, but I've been told that it's a good thing and a bad thing because out of all the hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of bills that come up, some are really crazy bills, and you're thinking, okay, well, it's a good thing that they don't get passed that easily. It's a long process for a reason, or else we're not sure what the state of Maryland would be like.
If it was easy, it'd be a mess, right?
Yeah, it really would be. But you kind of have to baby it. You have to, really cater to it, walk it along each step of the way, and sit down and talk with people one-on-one, have the debates, think of every issue that might come up, and then when you're in committee for the hearing, more issues come up that you didn't even think about, and then you have to go back and reassess. So it's exhausting, but it's worth it if it's a good bill, and go forward from there.
What are you hearing from constituents in your district when you were off session going out in the community? What were they telling you are their most important issues?
Well, this year was a lot different than last year, it was a lot more positive. Last year and during the campaign for 3 years of going door to door, everyone was livid about the rain tax. They're like, this is embarrassing. We're getting taxed so badly that they're taxing our rain. Like, this is so bad, we're leaving. And so this year, when I was out in the community, a lot of people were saying, you know what, we're not anywhere near where we need to be yet, but we're happy that we're taking steps to get there. From the tolls being lower, the rain tax being changed, or in some counties it's completely gone. So they're really more hopeful. You can definitely sense that in their voice. So.
Anybody talking about new taxes this year?
Yeah, they want to make sure it doesn't happen again this year. So the last year was great. They're like, let's see it again, and I think everyone was really curious to see what happened last year, and after it going so well, I think everyone's just hoping it'll happen again this year. So it's not easy, though. It's not easy to.
Excellent. Well, good luck, and thank you for talking with us. Have a great session.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.